Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne. I've just released batch 3 of the TRO 2021 donational indicators. So just remember, these videos are for educational purposes only, and your results may differ from mine. Okay, and also when you're trading, with or without my indicators, remember to keep your risk management in place. Okay, the first indicator is the TRO2021 order block, and that's the name of the template. So what this indicator does is it will show you where the order blocks are based on the time frame. So here we had an M1 bear block, and a bear block is where you look for a price to make the block, then it returns, and then you would sell. It returns and you would sell. Now, of course, it's not going to do that every time. You put your stop loss just above the bearish order block and just below the bullish, and that way you might get stopped out. And so you can switch time frames, and you can see here on order blocks, it's like you go, well, why is the bear block here but not up here? That's where you would think it would be. But you have to understand the definition of an order block. And the way I'm using it is you have to have on the top side, you have to have a white candle here, or green, and that would be a bullish candle. Then the bearish candle has to come right after it, but it has to close below the low. And you can see here, this is the only time that's happened on the 1 minute time or the 5 minute time frame. But you see on the 1 minute, it's above. On the 15, here's an example here. So here's that bullish candle. Here's the bearish candle. The close was below, so it formed an order block. And so you can see here, price went down. It came and it came back into it, but you can see it's poked its head above it. And down here on the low side, you can see the bullish order block where we had a bear candle followed by a bull candle where the close was above the high, and price went up and it never came back. And then you can just roll through the different time frames, and you can see there's not one there, and there's not one there. And the reason there's not one is because here we're using the block period, the current chart period. Now the start period, we're going back to the day. So this is at the beginning of today. But if you want to, you can take it back the beginning of the previous day, and you can see here there were some order blocks. And what happened? Price formed an order block, came back to it, and you can see it bounced around. It formed an order block here, came back to it, and then rejected out of it. So that's how that works. So you can have that shift in there. You can go back, days, weeks, months, however you want to do it. Now, they use the high-low threshold. This is where if you only want to see order blocks within certain number of pips of the daily high, daily low, you set this to true. And then, so I've got it set to 20 pips, because if you know me, you know that's the rat zone. So what it'll do is, you can see here we had an order block within 20 pips of the daily high, or I'm sorry, the daily low, but you don't see one for the high because we didn't have one yet in that time frame. So that's how those inputs work, and I don't know if there's any other inputs that are really, and if you don't like the colors, of course, you can change the shading there. And the threshold period, you can see here, you can also set that to the same. So if I set that to 1, then you see we've got a bear block that showed. Okay. So that takes care of the order block. I think that should answer most of the questions. Of course, if you do have questions, feel free to contact me on the different platforms that I post on. Now, the next indicator is the order block bars indicator. Now, you might wonder, if you just showed me the order blocks, why would you do that? Well, this is showing every bar pattern, every 2-bar pattern that fits that criteria, whereas the order blocks indicator is only going to show you, let's see, it's only going to show you one order block. But I like to use this because what I found out was, you can see you had a couple of bearish, actually these were these were bearish order blocks here, and you had the bullish one down here. So right here you had a bullish, well, price had to come back to it, but it created a couple bearish. So then when it created this bullish, I'm looking to target this bearish, and which it did, and then you can see it hit it and it pulled back some, but then it had to take out this one, which it did, and then it pulled back some. So you look for it to go between those order blocks, because usually price takes out those order blocks, because if they're truly order blocks, it makes sense for it to take out order blocks if you study order blocks. And as far as this indicator goes, once again, you can tell at the block period, the start period, whether or not you want the threshold on, and pretty much the same settings as before. And then this indicator, the multi-pair multimeter, but I also left the order block bars up here just so you could see it. So here on H4, you can see there was a bullish order block formed. And so how you use this indicator is, it's going to tell you, so when this bar opened right here, it's going to tell you, hey, there was a order block. So right now, what's this telling you? It's saying there's an order block here. If price comes back down here, so this is a heads up type of indicator. So you could think of it almost as a dashboard. And by the way, the dashboard, I did put in an order block function, so you can also use that in the dashboard. So and so like you can hear here the pound yen, you can see there is an order block here on H4. There's one on H1 right there. See, once again, the 2 bars preceding this bar. And where else? We had one on M1 right there, another order block. So you can see here, price formed a bullish block. There was this bearish block, came out, took it out, formed another bullish block. But what happened? Price had to come back down, touch this bullish block. So now at this level, you might look to go long again and look for price to return to at least this bearish block. Another indicator I wrote, I call this the potential order block. So what this will do is it will show you the bars that could potentially be an order block. So for example, this one right here, this was an order block because it actually formed, or it actually closed above the high. And then this one was a potential order block, but not quite, because the close did not close below. But you don't know that until after the fact. But you do see what happens. Price went down and it came back. It acted just like an order block. So once again, this gives kind of a heads up that these potential order blocks have formed. And what this is looking for is the highest candle, actually the highest bullish candle here. And you can see here when you open the chart, you can see that white. So that really is a bullish candle, but when you scrunch it, it looks like it was a bear candle. And then, so here's the lowest bear candle down here to form that could form a bullish order block. So like I said, I've done a lot of work on these order blocks for you guys, And I hope you find one or more of these indicators useful if you're an order block trader. I think there really might be something to it just based on what I've been observing over the past couple of weeks as I've been studying this. So once again, you can see price pulling away here on the pound. And usually when I trade this stuff, I'm actually looking to time my entries on M1. I'm looking for order blocks though across the board. And one thing you'll notice is you'll see very few order blocks on the that don't get taken out on the higher time frames. So here you can see there's just no order blocks showing. They usually get taken out. So daily, weekly, monthly, very, very few times do you see these order blocks. But when you come down to H4, that's when you start to see order blocks H1 and below. And so here we had 3 bullish order blocks, but then we now formed a bearish. And so this price probably needs to come down somewhere around this level and possibly even this level, just based on the order blocks. So those are the order blocks. I got one more trick up my sleeve for you guys in this batch of indicators, and it's the price near indicator. And what this does is it tells you what levels price is near. So you don't have to have a bunch of lines on your chart because sometimes things can get pretty messy. So the way I set it up, you can look at the high, open, low, close, and the pivot. I wonder why I had low before close in the inputs. That should be it should be open, high, low, close. I think I did that for a reason though. I don't quite remember the reason, but I'm pretty sure I think it's because of the way I coded it inside the indicator. I wanted the highs before the opens and then the close after and then the lows at the bottom there and then the pivots. So, and you can run this on up to 5 time periods. And if you don't want them all, you can switch it to none. But I like to look at these upper ones because I want to know when it's getting near a high or low, or I like the pivot, not so much on H1, but I do notice that the pivot on H4 usually gets taken out. And of course, daily, weekly, monthly pivots. So, and I like to know when prices are near those levels. Now, if you can think of another level that I should add to this, let me know. It shouldn't be too hard to code, but I don't want anything too far out there. And so like this is all for the current, that's my bars 1, but if I want 2 bars, now it'll tell me, so the current bar, it's also near the previous low, H1 by 3.3 pips. Okay. Previous close by 3.7 on H1. So if we switch over to H1, and you can see that. And of course, you can change the threshold. You can change that to maybe you only want to see it within 2 pips. And maybe you want to look at the last 10 bars. And so you can see here, 2 pips over the last 10 bars. We're near the daily low 5 days ago. So you go, okay, daily low 5 days ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see, yes, we're right near that daily low. So that's how you use that, the price near indicator. I don't think there's anything else really that tricky about it. Just a threshold, the number of bars, what you want to see, the levels, what you want to see here. I also put some templates in there for you, so you don't. So you can if you can't figure it out, you can look at how I did my templates, and then that might help you figure out exactly what you want to see. So, fellow traders, just remember, different indicators. Indicators are just tools, okay? They're not the be-all, end-alls. But hopefully my indicators help you in some way. But just remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. And once again, thanks for your support. TheRumpledOne over and out.